Alright my friends, how you all doing? Welcome back to the channel and welcome to a fresh episode of Do It Better. So we are back here, my friends, in Hyland Zoo as we try to do it better one more time. Linked above, my friends, is last episode, and that's the last proper episode where we did the rebuild of the entrance. Feel free to go and check that out if you haven't done so already. There was another video that dropped a couple of days after that was more of a techniques video. I've decided going forward with the series I will be doing a reveal episode and then a couple of days later doing an episode where I cover any of the unique techniques and hints and tips that I can give you when it comes to building in Planet Zoo, but it's going to be mainly based on this project. Now, last episode was an absolute treat and lots of you really seemed to enjoy the episode and got involved in the comments, my friends. Really appreciate it. Would love it if you keep that going forward. Now, let's jump in and find out what we're going to be doing in today's episode. Right, episode 2. This is what we're going to be doing, and it is backlot time. Basically, I told you at the end of last episode what we were going to be doing, but a quick refresh as we get to look at the items before, and then when I am done with this I will obviously reveal what it looks like after and we'll give it a good look, my friends. So on the screen you are going to see pictures of what we're doing in today's episode as I run through. So first things first, it is the main backlot area. It is basically the area that was behind the car park. It was the one that kind of coupled with the entrance, and that was the next big thing that I really wanted to crack on with. After that, we needed to do the exit point for the entrance. I kind of put in a loose one last episode. I kind of left it from what it was in the previous zoo, but we are basically going to be giving that a real good overhaul. And then, as well as all of that work, I am going to try to tackle these shops as well, gang. These needed, obviously, a big rework. We are levelling everything in this zoo, and then we're going to take a good look at it. So that is on the agenda. So, without further ado, this is what it looked like before, and this is what it looks like after. Yes, it is a big change. Mainly the path has all changed, the whole look of this area has completely changed. There's lots of stuff that's been deleted, there's lots of stuff that's been moved on, but obviously, as I've already said, in the introductory episode of the series, we are going to try to keep all the Hyland Zoo charm. We're going to try to keep the shapes of the buildings if we can. We're going to try to just keep certain little things that are, that we had previously, that we associate with this project. We don't want to go changing too much. And as I say that, I've actually changed a hell of a lot in today's episode, and I'm going to have to do a lot of explaining. Now, one thing I've noticed with this project, before I jump in and start showing you what I've done, is that lots of these areas, although I'm kind of reworking them and I'm rebuilding them and I'm making them look better, in my opinion, I think I've done a pretty good job to this point. Areas feel massively unfinished because I can't go in and do the planting the way I want. I can't go in and finish pathways the way I want. And the reason for this is because the next episode I'll be deleting something, and I tend to have to delete all of the planting out as well. And so as a result, I keep getting left with these big areas of just barren land, and you're going to see a lot of that in today's episode. Unfortunately, this episode's going to feel like I didn't actually do much when I actually did a hell of a lot, because there's just so much space left. But I'm hoping that after the next episode of this series is done, I will start to kind of find my groove with the planting, and I'll be able to go back and tackle areas that I haven't done so. But anyway, I've been waffling. Let's take a look at what I've been up to. So basically, the big thing that I have done is this backlot area, gang. It really did need looking at. It was atrocious what was here before. I'm gonna be really frank. The fun thing about this series is that obviously I started the Hyland Zoo project in 2019 when the game came out, and obviously the game's been out 2.5 years, nearly 3 years now, and it just shows you what you can achieve if you really kind of apply yourself with something. And Planet Zoo is kind of like my jam. It's become one of my favourite games to play. I always seem to have it open, and so improvements, I guess, were always going to happen. But basically, this area what I did was I just leveled the whole lot, including the path. Now, what I'm going to do as I go along is the same as last episode. I'm going to do before and after shots. So I'm going to do on the screen now a before and after, a little overhead view so you can see what it was looking like before. Now, obviously you can see it's very, very much the same shape. There are a few changes. Obviously, I've kind of added a building where there used to kind of be some planted area. I've got rid of the elevated kind of little like decked area, basically, where I had some seating for our staff and whatnot. Now, obviously, in the game, they don't use the seating, so it was just really decorative. So I've just kind of changed that up. I've taken away the path that was raised up as well, because it didn't actually make sense. I don't really know why I did it. When I was looking at it, I was thinking, do I keep it this way or do I just change it? I've flattened it and leveled it out. I think it makes more sense, especially with what is in the area, because this is kind of like our main hub. As you can see, that car park area makes a bit more sense now as well, and I have done away with the little shed and the kind of the little vegetable patch, and I'm actually going to migrate that elsewhere. I just couldn't do it yet because of what's going to be coming, obviously, in the coming episodes. So yeah, let's take that off the screen and so we can dive in and take a good look. So the road is the same width. Basically, I've replaced all of the road gang, obviously, with plaster pieces now. That's how I'm doing the road, rather than using the pathways, because we don't really need people walking up and down here anyway. I'm just literally putting path where it is needed. As I mentioned before, the more path you've got, the slower it can make you zoo, because you're making more traversable area for your guests. So really, you want to kind of just put your path where you need it, basically. So yeah, we're using the plaster pieces on the road. As you can see, you got all the road markings in. We pulled it up, and we ended up with quite a bit more space. I'm going to be honest with you, in this little sort of car park sort of area, if we want to call it that. Really, this is a goods in and out. We've got, you know, little spaces that we can park up. We've got, you know, spaces for cars, you know, in case any staff wanted to come in here and stuff like that as well. Now, as I was saying, I have changed up, you know, some of the areas, like this area in particular. There used to be kind of like a green patch here. I'll do a before and after on the screen for you right now, so you can kind of get a feel for what I'm talking about. Yeah, there used to be a shed there and some like vegetable patches, or one big vegetable patch. It had like a little white fence around it. I've done away with that now. We have just got a couple of benches over here with a bit of gravel, and then we've got all our pathway kind of sorted out, and gone pretty wild with the planting here. I just kind of wanted this to feel really overgrown and whatnot, especially with the car park there. I'm not mad about the fact that, you know, from the car park they can kind of see into this area. I'm not mad about that at all. I think something I do need to do at some point is probably go in and do some lighting and add like security cameras like along the fences and stuff like that. I think that's probably something that would very much be needed. I haven't concentrated on lighting yet. I've put a few lights in here and there, but it's something I'm probably going to go in after we're 5 or 6 episodes in, and then just go in and just add all the lighting at one point. I think it makes more sense, because a bit like the planting, I'm forever kind of deleting and adding and deleting and adding, and it is pretty difficult to keep up with. So yeah, we've gone pretty wild with the plants there. There will be at some point a little security building here with gates. The only reason I haven't done it is because I need to get this this car park over here sorted. Once I get the next lot of car parks done, then I will obviously put those gates in, because I'll know what space I've got, basically. And that leads on to another point where I was just talking about those vegetable patches, and now I want to migrate them elsewhere. I'm actually considering kind of migrating them down in this area. And again, if I'm going to put them in there, then I'll know about space for car parks and whatnot. And that's one of the big reasons why I didn't kind of pack this out and I haven't done the car parks over here yet, because I'm still not really too certain about space and what we're going to be doing, basically. So first and foremost, let's just take a quick look at this before and after this side, and so you can kind of see what it looked like before. As you can see, it's a pretty similar shape. There are some differences. A lot of the reason for the changes in shape is that I have moved the buildings around to make more sense. They were a bit scattergun before, and obviously when we were playing Hyland Zoo the first time, we were adding buildings in we didn't need, like the mechanics hut. You don't actually need that in a sandbox zoo. If you're playing franchise, obviously you do, but you know, because you use those things for like research and whatnot, don't you? But this is a sandbox zoo, so we don't need to worry about things like that. So I kind of got rid of those. You know, we had 2 staff rooms. They didn't make sense. So yeah, we basically, it is a very similar shape. Kind of added a building. We got rid of the seated area. But it makes more sense now. Really does make a lot more sense. Now, as far as the look is concerned, some people might be looking at this and thinking that it's a bit bland. Me personally, I don't think it is. I really actually like the style, but some people might be looking at it and thinking it's just, it's not really got that wow, as it hasn't, you know, before we were using loads of odd colours and whatnot, and now it's kind of like brick and white. Now, the reason I've done this is I wanted it to match with our entrance and our opening plaza. We were going with a very classic British, you know, kind of design when we started Hyland Zoo. I remember there were certain things that we said, you know, like with the reptile house. It was an old building that was converted into a reptile house, and you know, I kind of wanted to stay with that whole kind of classic design, and that's why I kind of come up with this. So what I've done, as you can see, I've added a building here. This is our new staff building. So we used to have 2 staff buildings here, the smaller ones. But what I've done is I've just basically reworked the area to make this fit. So if I was to come around this side, you'll see all of this behind here is completely different to how it was before. I will do a before and after when I talk about the little exit point to show you kind of like the differences there. So yeah, we've added this staff room. So as you can see, we've got a big old staff room. I think it makes much more sense to kind of just go with this big one and you know, have that service the whole area. And then if we come along this way, you can see I have started adding some little details and whatnot. What we've got here is like a little research room. Now, I know I've just said about the mechanics hut and not really needing it. We don't need Deceiver, but I think this is quite a nice building to put in for kind of aesthetical reasons. I think this one makes a bit more sense. It's quite a cool looking building on the inside. And what's cool about this as well is you can actually see to the outside where our guests would you know, be exiting and the staff are coming in and out. So yeah, I think it's quite a cool kind of you know, building to kind of add in there. And then what I've done is I've stuck one quarantine building here with the vet surgery here. They make a lot of sense having them together. Now with Hyland Zoo, I've left the settings pretty much as they were, but there's just a couple that I've tweaked so that I can be more realistic. But I'm leaving diseases on for this project. I actually have them turned off, I think, on Tropical Wings, because I've got so many animals in that zoo I couldn't keep up with all of the micromanagement. But this, I am actually going to really concentrate on the micromanagement of the game. So I'm going to leave like the diseases turned on. I think the only thing that I've turned off is it was just like the overcrowding and stuff. It's just so that, yeah, and the plants as well, so that we can be a bit more open-minded with that sort of thing for the realism. But I think a lot of the settings I've kind of left as they were. So we've kind of got those close together because I thought they made sense. And then I have added a big kitchen. Now, believe it or not, we didn't have a kitchen in this area before, which I'm really, really surprised at. Instead, we were adding loads of little kitchens by the looks of things all over the zoo. That just goes to show how much I've learned, because obviously when I first started playing the game, I used to think that you needed to add all these kitchens all over the place, really close to the animals. But actually, you can have some distance as long as you make your pathways to the animals, you know, easy enough for your staff to kind of you know, get to and from. You know, as long as you're consistent about it, you can kind of add stuff like this. We've got a big kitchen there. And then if we flip this way, I'm going to do a before and after on screen for you so you can see the difference here. We used to have a big old warehouse with a pitched roof. I don't know why I'm putting pitched roofs on warehouses. 9 times out of 10 they got flat roofs. And then we had a building to the side of it. Now it used to all be in kind of like a metal design, but I've changed that up because I think all of the kind of staff buildings need to be more of the style that we've got and that we've built out for this. So yeah, I have changed the look of this quite a lot. So what we've got is we've got another quarantine building here, and then I've just added 2 trade centres. Again, I know we only need 1, but I've just decided to add 2 just so we've got these buildings and we've got these doors. You know, if we come around the back, I've added windows. So that's kind of like the windows to these buildings, basically. You know, if you look at this could be kind of like one facility. This could be another because of the way these are. But I just kind of wanted this. It's a really generic kind of like looking building. You know, it's nothing special, but I kind of just wanted to add a bit of detail, get that in there. And then we've changed this up. So we've changed the warehouse up completely. Like the way it looks is very, very different. We're still coming in at this on this corner here. It is still joined up, but we've just kind of angled it off. Really unique kind of roof designs over here. I was really having some issues because of the angles that I used, but I managed to kind of build my way around it and add all of this stuff. I'll probably talk more about this in the techniques episode that comes out in a couple of days. Kind of like just kind of talking you through how I problem solve. Basically, there's not really going to be anything too unique in that video, to be fair, because this was all pretty basic building in my opinion, but there might still be some helpful things for you guys. There is not really much to this building, to be fair. I've completely changed the shape of it though, as you can see. It used to be quite a long building that came all the way back here. It still started in this, so the actual footprint of this area is exactly the same as it was before, believe it or not. The car park has probably just got a tiny bit bigger because of not using the paths the way we did before, but the actual blueprint is the same. Like this edge of this building comes to the deepest part of where that building came to before. The planting's really different, so that kind of has an effect, and because obviously lots of planting's been taken out, it can look a bit bland behind the buildings, because I have already, as I've already said, can't go and add all the plants that I really want to add. As you can see, the planters, I've kept the planters. I actually really like them. I wasn't sure if I was going to keep them, but the more I looked at the area before they were put in, it felt lifeless, to be honest. So I just reworked the planters. They were like the original kind of brick, not this brick, it was like a stone design before, but instead we're kind of using the bricks now. Just gone with a load of conifers and bushes, and I think it fills it out quite nice, to be honest with you. Didn't need to be anything kind of too extreme. And then if we flip round this way, I will do a before and after for you, gang, so you can see exactly what we're dealing with. The warehouse is still there. I still wanted to kind of put this warehouse in, change the shape, obviously. I think these are far better looking warehouses, to be honest with you. I've done all of the little parking lines out the front. I'm using this forklift. It's off of the Steam Workshop. I use that in Tropical Wing Zoo. I absolutely love it. Can't remember the creator of this piece, but I will link it in the description box below for anyone that wants to go and download it, because I actually think, as far as scale is concerned, it's one of the better vehicles on the workshop. It really is very, very good for scale. And I'm all about making things appear more to scale, a bit smaller, trying to downsize stuff in this game. So yeah, it's pretty difficult. Now you might be looking at the gates and the doors on these buildings and thinking that they're not that big. You are correct. These are just storage facilities. They're not really facilities that we want goods going in and out, like goods vehicles being able to drive in and out. It's the whole reason for the forklift. The vehicles would park up in the fronts of the doors, and then the forklift would do do the job. But basically, these are just storage buildings. Now, they are facades, okay? There's nothing inside them because there just doesn't need to be. They are for decorational purposes only. Obviously, these all have a reason for being here. The staff obviously will come and go to this area. It's going to be really important to them, and it is kind of like our main staff area. Now, you might be looking at this and thinking there's not like major animal hospital or whatnot. I just wanted to keep this very similar to how it was before, because that's the whole point of the series. It's not, we don't want to do major changes. I say this, I'm doing major changes in the next episode, but bear with me, I'm going to talk about that at the end. But you know, I kind of want to keep the Hyland Zoo charm. Remember, that's the big thing where this project is concerned. So yeah, do keep that in mind, gang. So yeah, I don't think there's too much more that needs to be said about this area. I have started adding other bits and bobs, like I've got these little hay sheds. I've got one here as well. We've got a little tool shed. They're essentially the ones I'm using in Tropical Wings Zoo. I didn't see the point in making new ones. These are a blueprint. So you know, there's something that I've made, and you know, they're a blueprint. I'm considering adding them to the workshop. If anyone would be interested, let me know in the comment section below, and I am considering it. That, or I might build them in a Let's Build Together episode. You let me know which you would prefer. So yeah, I kind of added them, but until I get all of this area kind of mapped out, they won't do much. Now, the reason why I've not been able to finish this area off is, believe it or not, the entrance to the bongo habitat is inside this building, and there's actually a kitchen there as well, and we've got all of this mess to kind of deal with at some point. So yeah, I couldn't really finish the area because I would have been encroaching on what will be an episode, basically. So yeah, that's what's the difficult part about this series, is I'm basically trying to make episodes out of, you know, certain parts of the project without encroaching on what will potentially be another episode. It's quite difficult at the moment. So that is the backlot area finished. As I say, there are bits and pieces that probably need adding back there, but I've not been able to get around to them just yet because of things that are happening. So this area here, gang, I am going to do from this point here a before and an after on the screen so that you can take a look at how much this area has changed. And my God, has it changed? There were lots of like weird little fences here. You're going to see the before pictures are from the very before. So the entrance actually, the entrance plaza, the old one is still there. I think it makes more sense to do that because you get a real good look at how the whole part of this area changes. So yeah, a lot has changed in this area. Really in love with the new planting that I've done. I really want to go with a more natural kind of overgrown look. I'm trying to use different plants to the plants that I've used in Tropical Wings, because I don't want them to feel like the same project. I want them to feel different, even though they are, you know, one zoological society now, as we discussed in last episode. There will be a part in today's episode where I'm going to reveal the logos and whatnot, so that you can see that you know, that they are partnered now. So we'll take that off the screen. As you can see, I've kind of put this gravelled design in here. I'm in love with this, by the way. This is one of the greatest things that was ever added to the workshop, and my good friend Leaf added it to the workshop as well. He is a legend. Love that guy's work, and I'm really in love with this piece. I've added the gravel. Now I'm actually thinking of maybe adding some writing on here, like a come back soon sign or something like that, with some more plants. And also I've got this idea of adding these banners on here, like with animals on them, potentially with like the logo at the bottom, like all along here basically. I think it might look cool, and like on here as well. I'm using Colchester Zoo as inspiration there. When you pull into the main, when you pull into the zoo, the initial part as you drive up towards the car park, there's a building on the left hand side that's like, obviously it's staff facilities, and they've got banners that are hanging off the wall, and they're really cool. And I'm thinking about potentially doing something like that here, to kind of just liven it up a little bit, because obviously it is just staff buildings. Now I didn't want to put a fence in here like I did last time. I kind of wanted it to feel more open, and I actually really like it. I really like it. I love the fact that this building's kind of exposed a little bit. things like this, the backside of a building, they really don't need to be hidden behind a fence, do they? Let's be really honest. It's only really access to doors and stuff, and that's why we've added these gates. So yeah, that's that. So the actual exit, I will do a before and after. The actual exit has changed position. I've actually pulled it closer to the actual entrance plaza now, and to the staff buildings. It was a bit further up, and it was just like a bit of a mess, to be honest with you, before. Now, I had ideas to do something very different with this, but the more I played around with it, the more I didn't like it. I was trying to go with a little pitched roof over the top, like a wooden pitched roof, and I had these wooden kind of framework coming down. And the more I looked at it, the more I just thought, like, I really don't like where this is going. It didn't really feel right. So instead, I have basically kept the majority of the old entrance framework inside here. I've replaced it with some metal, these metal pieces though, rather than the pieces that were being used, because they didn't really make sense. So I've just kind of reworked that a little bit, and then I've just added this lovely little roof over the top. And because we've got this wooden framework, that kind of holds it all up. And yeah, I really like it now. I really like it. I know it's just, essentially, I've just added this little rectangle roof piece to the top of it, really, more than anything. But we've got this little green piece on the top as well, because as you know, I'm trying to change up all my roof colours and that in this zoo. I don't want this to feel like Tropical Wings 2.0. I want this to feel like Hyland Zoo. I don't want it to feel like we're, still doing Tropical Wings in this project. I want it to feel different, so I'm trying to use different ideas for this, different colour combinations, different planting. Want it to feel unique, and I actually really like it. I know it's something really simple. It's just the exit point for the guests. It's an area they probably won't use as well, because I'm not joining it up to the path like I did before, because I don't really think that makes sense. I don't really like the idea of guests walking up here to enter the zoo. I want them to go through here, so I'm not going to join this path up this time, but I think it's still a nice piece to add near the entrance. And like if you look at it from different angles, it's quite a nice little item to kind of have. What I will say, gang, is that these do feel very large, these buildings, but a lot of that is because these staff facilities are in them, and they're very large items. I'm going to talk about in my techniques episode how you can make them feel smaller, because it can be quite a task to make them feel small, because they are very large buildings. The windows, look how big the windows are compared to the people. You know what I mean? It's like, it does get a bit out of hand. And then the other bit that we're going to take a good look at is, of course, the shops. Now, first and foremost, I'm going to try to do a before and after. There was lots and lots of trees before, and you'll see the before and after. Now, the first thing you're all going to notice is that there's only one shop now. And there's no vista point. Now I'm going to talk you through my thinking, okay? And a lot of this is potentially in preparation for next episode, and if not next episode, the one after that, because I'm actually going to get you guys to vote on what you want me to do for next time, because I'm caught in two minds basically. I'm not sure which project I want to crack on with next, basically. So I'm going to let you guys help me out and decide on the next project. But yeah, as you can see on the screen, really different. The Vista Point's disappeared, the shop has disappeared, there's only one shop left. Okay, so it's really changed. The foliage is the big thing. So we'll take those off. Now, the biggest thing for me is what a difference it makes when you remove foliage. Foliage in this game is the pinnacle of detail, okay? Foliage for me, not only does it add life to your zoo, but it disguises so many ugly, glaring, obvious headaches in your projects. It's unreal. That path that goes down to Gorilla Kingdom, I am not looking forward to dealing with that. That is horrific, that there. I had the terrain tool out so much before anything was built here. The terrain was a nightmare, but I got something done and I think it looks nice. I really do. So first and foremost, you're going to see that the pathway here has started to be changed. So we're like migrating over into more of a plain colour. Now, some people might not be happy that the red's disappeared. Now, what I'm going to say is I'm going to open this up, okay? I am not against doing this in this colour, okay? I'm really not. But what I will say is when you get big areas like this in a clarity kind of red bricky colour, it does start to like get a bit much, which is why I tend to use greys, because it tones that colour down. The lighter the colour, the easier it is on the eye. I know grey's boring, but the majority of concrete in the world and pavement in the world are a shade of grey, so that's kind of why I use that colour. And the nice thing about the shade of grey I'm using is that the tiled work actually pops, so you notice where there's different areas, so that's a kind of big thing to be thinking about. But yeah, so that's something I've done. Now, I finished all this off. I'm not going to do any before and afters because we did all that last time, but I finished all of this off now, which is really good. Got a bit more planting sort of added. I've still not done this because I'm caught in two minds. I don't know if I want to add another statue there with a bunch of planting, or if I just want to go quite heavy with some large bushes and stuff. Not sure. Really not sure. So the best thing to do if you're caught like that is to just leave it, in my opinion. So yeah, this area here, this I'm going to try to get like a really good before and after of just kind of like this shop and what this looked like before and after. So on the screen you'll see it. Now this has changed a lot here because I've opened this all up. This actually went into the most narrow point before, which is mad to me. I don't know why on earth it did, but the path actually kind of came into this really narrow point, and there were two trees overhanging, and it went left and right and forward. And yeah, it was mad, and the planting was just obscene, like the amount of planting and rock work there was, just covering stuff up. But yeah, I decided to open the area up. So as you can see, we've kind of got this planter in the middle now. I wanted to add, you know, something like this, so we've got this planter in the middle, and so the path goes off in this direction and it goes kind of off in this direction now, and then it's got a turn that goes off this way. Yeah, we just kind of added some planters. I'm trying to just add some life to the pathways. As much as you get the edge planting, you do get kind of trees and whatnot kind of growing out. And when you get big areas of you know, path like this, we don't want to end up with these big areas of sort of grey space. So yeah, I've added that. Now what I've decided to do is I have kept this shop here. I've leveled the other one. Now before I do any before and afters, the reason why I've done this, gang, is that obviously one of the big things we're doing with the project is we're introducing realism, and I didn't think it was very realistic to have you know, kind of like a burger and chips restaurant there, quite a heavy duty thing there, and then have another restaurant here when there's a restaurant here, and obviously we've got this little snack stop. It seemed overkill. It seemed like there's far too many food outlets, in my opinion. So I've decided to get rid of this restaurant. I don't think it was needed. We're just keeping this one. And another thing is, this is going to kind of feed into what I'm going to talk about for next episode, because now we've got rid of this, it's opened up a little bit of space, but it's also, because I've had to take out all the rocks and the plants, I've realised there's actually a beautiful amount of room here, and I think this opens up an opportunity for us to do something pretty special. So yeah, we'll talk a bit more about that towards the end of today's episode. As you can see, there's a bit of path here. It's there for a reason. It's a marker. It's to kind of be ignored, and also the vista has disappeared as well, because I've left this piece of path here because I do quite like the vista to be there, but I didn't want to go building the vista point, because when we do Gorilla Kingdom, I'm obviously going to remove all this planting to redo all this and reshape stuff, and so I didn't want to put it in and then have to change it. It was just seemed like a job that I would do, and then it would get deleted and whatever. So I just didn't want to be messing around, basically doing that sort of thing. So decided against that. So yeah, I've left it for now, but there will be a vista point put in at some point. So this area here is our new kind of new shop area. I will do a before and after on the screen, and as you can see, it's a big change. But what's nice is we've kept the character of the building. We've really kept the shape. I've changed the building that's inside. I'm going to be honest, I've changed the type of building that's inside. That's something I've said that I'm going to do. You know, that's not against the rules. I can do that if I want, because this is a whole point of, you know, we're making it better. We're trying to make the zoo make more sense, as well as, you know, look a lot nicer. So yeah, as you can see, we've really kind of changed the way this area looks. But I'm absolutely in love with it. So let's take a good look at the building. So first and foremost, you're going to see that I have pretty much kept the shape of that roof intact. I was actually really in love with that old building shape, because we all know how guilty I am of making things really square, or rectangles or whatever, and I rarely do I mess around with roof designs. And you know, one of my big things I've started doing recently is making a lot of custom roofing, and I'm really enjoying it because I think it gives you a lot more freedom with your building shapes. And so yeah, I kind of really wanted to keep the shape of the building the best I could, and I feel like I've done a pretty good job of that. I've obviously kept the window here with the shop inside, and then we've kept the bathrooms here. That's a issue with the colour, isn't it? I've sorted that out. Okay, I've just cut that, okay, because it was just easier. I don't know what was going on there, to be honest with you, but yeah, sorted all that out. So yeah, we've added these doors in. That's a bathroom behind there. Before, obviously, it was all open, as you see in the before and after picture. So yeah, we kind of added that bathroom. The biggest change here is obviously I have stuck this on like a big paved area. Basically, it's really difficult to kind of see this in its final form, because obviously I've got to do all the planting. There was lots and lots of planting all in here with rocks and different fences and whatnot, and yeah, it was just difficult. It's really difficult to kind of envision what it's going to look like once we get all of that planting put in. But I still think it looks quite nice, like even as it is. I'm using the new benches from the conservation pack. We're using the new brollies and whatnot. We've got one over this side as well. A big thing with this build is I've added a little bit of a backlot area with a double gate and the bins and whatnot. So we've kind of got this little area that's shielded away. If I take you inside the building, I have done a little bit of work in here because I want to do quite a detailed job of this one. So as you can see, we've got some nice racking systems sort of in here. We've got our brooms on the wall, some boxes and whatnot. And then if you was to go this way, this door takes you into the area that the staff work, basically. Now this is an ice cream kind of stop. I kind of wanted that to be one of the first things we sort of added. So as you can see, we've got like blenders and we've got a little freezer. I decided to add one of those in here. I think that's sort of makes sense, and it takes up a lot of room in this building as well. I probably need to put a few items over this side, you know, at some point. And then I just added a bunch of you know, props and whatnot in here just to kind of bring it to life. It's really basic again inside. Not going too wild with these shops, but just wanted to add some details in here so it looks quite nice. And if we come to the outside, you'll see it is very much exactly the same shape as it was before, even if we come round here, but it's just very different the way it's all been done. You know, like I've got these little poles coming out as roof supports now. This, I'm going to do a before and after of this area here on the screen, because this has really changed the back of this building. I've opened it all up a bit more. Obviously you'll see the foliage, obviously it's all been removed and whatnot, and so I really wanted to open it all up. Kind of got this paved design in, slightly unfinished towards the back, the paved area. But that's because I'm obviously going to work towards the vista. We've got this fencing now. The reason I've added this fencing is obviously this might end up being a bit of a vista point in itself. Okay, it's going to be quite a nice little look out on the zoo. You know, so, and even over here, you know, you're going to have a nice little look out over there, because the terrain changes, I'm not going to mess around with them. I want the terrain to to be exactly as it was. I don't want to mess around with it too much. We might smooth some areas out, you know, it will just make them a bit nicer to kind of work with. But you know, this path is still going to go down like this. It's still going to go down like this. It's still going to come up, you know, in other areas. I want the terrain to really kind of just stay as it is, and you know, we've got to work with what we add rather than like really changing it too much and messing around with it. But I love this shop. Really love this shop. I'm probably going to use this as my big talking point in the techniques episode, because I know full well lots of people are going to look at the shop and be like, I love the shape of that shop, how did you do it? Because it's something I get asked a lot. Lots of people really struggle with building, you know, making buildings that are an exciting shape and not just a square or a rectangle, and I think this would be a really good building to use. So yeah, that's kind of that area, gang. Obviously, as a result of all this work, we lost a bunch of planting over here. We've lost a shop, we've lost some planting and whatnot. It's you know, all of this as well. This is really open. You know, there's enough space there to put a small animal. That's crazy in my opinion. You know, we've really got to think about that. But you wouldn't really put an animal, I don't think, because that's where you exit the zoo. I'm not sure what we're going to really be doing. But, you know, there's lots of unfinished areas. But that is the after, gang. I really hope you've liked it. And it now begs the question, and you all need to let me know in the comment section below, did I do it better? Give me a big thumbs up in the comments and let me know what your favourite bit was. So before we move on to the next part of today's episode, where I'm going to talk about next episode, I'm going to put on the screen the two logos for the zoos that now belong to the ZSX family. As you can see, there's not too much of a rework for either of the logos, but you will see the font is now the same for both. Obviously, we've got Tropical Wings Zoo and Aquarium, and we've got Hyland Zoo and Safari Park. The Safari Park thing was an idea we obviously had way back when. Believe it or not, I've been watching some of the old Hyland Zoo episodes back because I wanted to remind myself of where we were and what we were working towards. And obviously we were going to do a train, weren't we, near the African area, and that was going to be the safari-esque thing for the project. So they're the new logos. They're now part of the ZSX family. Let's move on to the next bit. Now, let's talk about what's going to happen in episode 3. And this time around, gang, I want you guys to get heavily involved. I really do. And there's a big reason why I want you to get heavily involved, and it's because I am at a crossroads and I don't know what to do. Now, obviously, we've done the entrance, we've done the back lot, we've done the shop. We're kind of working our way into the zoo, aren't we? I now am at a point where the next episode is going to be the first hab. It's going to be the first big thing that we do, and I think that it's only right that we pick one of the two that I'm going to suggest, because they make the most sense. I believe they were two of the earliest things we actually did when we originally built Hyland Zoo, and I kind of feel like we need to get them done before we can move on to other stuff anyway. So first and foremost, the two choices are the reptile house. I think this, you know, it does no more needs to be said. This is kind of like the first big building that we see in the project, and there's so many animals inside this that I kind of need to get this done before I can really work on any of the animals that are to the back side of it. And the other choice is, of course, Gorilla Kingdom. Gorilla Kingdom, I believe, was one of the first big habs that we built. Gorilla Kingdom doesn't just have the gorillas in it. It actually has the flamingos in it as well. So this is obviously going to be a huge build should we choose to do this one. So to help you make your choice, I want to kind of give you a little insight into what I'm thinking of doing for both of the builds, basically, and the things that I'm going to have to try to achieve when I'm taking a look at those. So for the reptile house, obviously there's going to be 3 points that I am going to make where this is concerned. The first one is obviously we need to rework the build. We are going to do what we are doing with everything. We're going to completely level it and rebuild it. But the big thing with the reptile house is is the main building that you see, the brickwork building, that kind of has to, we have to keep that design. We're obviously going to level it and rebuild it, but we have to keep that because the whole thing with this build, when I went back and kind of watched the episode, was that we kind of had this as a listed building that couldn't be, you know, knocked down, and it was repurposed. So I still want to kind of go with that narrative. So we do need to kind of level it, rebuild it, rework it. The next point I want to make is that we want to add some species to this. Now, this isn't just a reptile house, this has got the amphibians in it as well. And obviously, since we built Hyland Zoo, lots of animals have been added to the game. And so I think it makes sense that we add all of the amphibians and all of the new reptile species into this project. It does mean there's some crocs and stuff that we could add as well. I'd be really excited. I think we're probably going to need a fair bit of room. And where room is concerned, that kind of comes to my next point, and that's that we need to integrate the gharials. The gharials obviously have a big outdoor habitat, but we're obviously working towards realism with this project, and so as a result of us working with realism, we need to probably level the gharial habitat and make them an indoor part. So we need to try to somehow bridge the gap between the reptile house, the gharials, and that pathway, and make an even bigger building. The reptile house is going to change big time, and it's going to be a lot of work, but I think it's a job that's going to very much need doing. And in the same way that I've just talked about the reptile house, I'll now give you some key points where Gorilla Kingdom is concerned. Now, I've got 3 key points that I want to talk about here, and a couple of them are probably going to be quite extreme, and I don't know if you're going to agree with it or if you're going to think it's fun, but obviously I want to work with realism. I kind of want to make this seem a bit more realistic, and that's kind of my thinking. So first and foremost, rework the build. The same as the reptile house, the whole area needs leveling. The building needs leveling as well. Again, like the reptile house though, I want to keep as much of the original shape and kind of original feel and look to the building as possible. I actually love the shape of this building. I love the shape of the roof. It's really unique. Like, when I think about things I've built since, this really stands up for me as far as unique and shape is concerned. So we really need to kind of rework the whole lot. The next point is relocate the flamingos. Now, some of you are going to be thinking, what on earth is going on? He has lost the plot. He's going mad. Now, for me, the flamingos don't actually make the most sense here. They are from a slightly different part of the world as far as my memory is, telling me, as far as the great flamingos are concerned. So they probably don't make the most sense. I would actually like to relocate the flamingos near the entrance opposite the reptile house. That's basically what I'm thinking. So I want to relocate the flamingos. After the flamingos have been relocated, I then want to relocate the pygmy hippos to where the flamingos were. Now, the reason I want to do this, gang, is after deleting all of that foliage out, we've actually got a big landmass in this area. So we could actually extend this habitat right out, make some water, and then the backside of the gorilla building, we could add all the backlot stuff, but for the hippo there. I know it means that the big hippo viewing area, underwater viewing area, will be null and void in the visitors centre, the education centre, but that's all going to need a rework anyway. And to be fair, we could probably repurpose that habitat for maybe seals. I think that might make more sense because they actually use the water. I'm not sure. I'm not really thinking that far ahead. But there was nothing to say I couldn't relocate animals where the series was concerned. And I think if we're going to do this zoo better and we're going to do it justice, I think it makes sense to do this. The pygmy hippo in Gorilla Kingdom next to the gorillas, I think that's a really cool idea. We've got the space there. I think it would be amazing. So in the comment section below, gang, let me know which one you would prefer to see. Would you prefer to see a massive rework of the reptile house or a massive rework of Gorilla Kingdom? Let me know in the comment section below, and I will also be running a poll on the YouTube community page, so make sure you head over there and vote. And so there you have it, my friends. We're done and dusted for another episode of Do It Better. I really hope you've enjoyed today's episode. It was a long one again. I thought today's episode was going to be relatively short because I didn't actually have too much to show you, but there was lots of explaining to do and lots of things to talk about. As I've already said, keep an eye out on the channel in the coming days for the techniques episode. I really want to carry on doing that for this series and do all the usual stuff. Drop a like on the video if you've enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. Feel free to check out the description box for links to the Steam Workshop and things like my Discord and my socials. But until the next one, my friends, make sure that you stay safe, stay humble, and I will see you real soon.